That looks good. Hello. Hi, Penville. You made it to the second one. That's awesome. Cool. I'm just gonna give it a few minutes. Hello again. So how did you like the last live stream on Tuesday, which was about Vellum skinning? Did you like that one? Cause we're gonna build, well, not today, but this topic, starting from now on, the Vellum clothing topic, will kind of build on top of the Vellum skinning a little bit more of, well, I was hoping to do clothing for Oliver, but I did a quick poll online. I'm just gonna move it over to the other screen here, and most people don't want to see Oliver clothing for Oliver apparently, and more for the Tommy character, which is, I hope his name is Tommy. I'm still not sure if his name is Tommy, this guy, which is the Mocap character from the shelf tool, this guy, from this button right here. Excuse me. I had finished lunch just like moments ago. So I'm rather thirsty. And so I was planning to do that, but then I realized not everyone may not want to see Oliver rigged with clothing. So we're gonna do Tommy today. And well, not Vellum thing. I lost my trail of thought. What I was trying to say is that the Oliver character, due to his disproportional body parts, it actually is a little trickier to create clothing for that. So I was hoping to show you like the worst case scenario. It's not the worst. There's probably worse than Oliver, but it's one of the worst case scenarios. And you actually, it would be really nice to see it for Oliver, and then you would know how to do almost like clothing for almost any other characters because of his exaggerated proportions. But if that's okay. So the vellums, that's where the vellum skinning helps. So that's where it built, where the topic built on top of each other. The vellum skinning helps you fix those overlapping geometries, and then once you get that will help the animation, which you will need to drive your vellum clothing. So the two topics are tied. No pun intended, as we're tying knots today. So I'm going to be demonstrating this knot tie just to get, actually I can just play it here. Silly me. So this is my reference. So you can see all this. This is insane. I hope this doesn't scare people. This is my notes. We may not be able to do like all this. I mean, I was practicing it last night and I was like, oh wow, this is never going to fit into streams. This is never going to fit into multiple streams, let alone one stream. So let's start off with a easier one with the belt, and we can work our way through that. So the belt is it's a lot simpler, less complicated, because there's less steps involved compared to the clothing creation one. But I find it very interesting. So you get nice results really quickly, which is really nice. So you do your knot, and then this is so I only have, you don't need all the frames. So I only cooked 48 frames, I believe. Yeah. Let me get rid of the color. So you're staring at my notes right now. I'm going to be doing it a live build, so don't worry about this. I just want to show you what you're getting into. Okay, yeah, there we go. That's more clear. So this is nice. This is a very nice way to model things very quickly and very easy to get very high quality results. Like, can you imagine sculpting this? It would take forever. Well, maybe it would be easier in ZBrush because they do have that curve, the curve manipulator in ZBrush. So, but still, nothing as easy as pressing a button and then let it run like that. And you can even choose, like if I let this go, the simulation cook a little longer, you can choose different types of knots. You might want a loose knot, tighter knot, or semi-loose. Like you can pick a frame that you want. So this is very powerful. That looks cool. Yeah, I thought it looked cool too. So we're going to be doing this knot, and I'm going to be putting the knot, which will be part of the belt for the Tommy character. Let's see if I have a nice... There, this is the brown leather belt that I have rendered here. Yeah, this thing. I find that Vellum is a very useful tool for procedure modeling. Almost anything. Like one of the very first streams I ever did was like using Vellum to do scrap paper, and it was like scrunching up the paper. It was like I thought that was a really cool idea because you can also put textures, like different textures on every single scrap paper. So if you had like, I don't know. Oh, actually, this just clicked in my head. I could just go and like take pictures of different newspapers and then use them as textures for my scrap paper. Oh, I gotta show you this. That would be awesome. And then just throw it on the floor. And then have the wind pick it up and, like, I don't know, do stuff with it. I think that'd be cool. That'd be really easy to do. I gotta pull this up now. It was one of the first live streams I ever did. Oh, if I can find it. Just give me one moment. I gotta show you this. Small YouTube, I think it was this one. Just finding the right spot. Oh, you know what? I can just show you the teaser video I did. That's easy. No. Where did I? Boxes. Oh dear, I need better organization. My files are everywhere. Ugh. Oh well. I can't find it. Oh, I think I know where it is. Right here. Oh, silly me. I was looking in the wrong place. Video clips. Ah, here it is. Sorry, that took long. Sorry. This is just an epiphany idea. Oh, come over here. So this is like a bunch of scrap paper falling down. I'm just gonna enlarge it. This was done with Vellum. I mean, it's a little crunchy right here because I forgot to put a Vellum post process to smooth it out. But this example was to show how I was using UDIMs to give each piece of paper a different texture. So you can see, these are just some of the thumbnails from some of my other tutorials, the other videos. Vellum is a very useful tool for like modeling stuff. And Evgeny, sorry. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced it. Jupiter, hi. Okay, let's see. Sorry, just let me get one more drink of water. Okay, so today we're gonna be starting with the belt and tying knots. I'm gonna start by showing you what I've done with the Tommy clothing. Eugene. Okay, yes, I can. That I know how to pronounce. Eugene. It's the same. Oh, okay, awesome. Right, I should show you where I got this from. So, the Vellum skin, which was the live stream from Tuesday, and today's Vellum clothing, which is we're gonna do the belt, is all inspired, and all the tricks I learned was from this tutorial. So I'm just gonna shoot it in here just in case everyone wants to see it. So that's how they showed, that's how I learned how to do this belt here. I wonder if they show it. Let me see. They don't show it. Oh, they show it here. Here. The belt. So it ties a knot. I do a very similar thing, but I take their technique and I do it my own way. So it's a little different. But I got most of the concepts from them. Okay, cool. All right, I'm first going to show you the Tommy character and how I have it all rigged, set up with the clothing. So I'm going to show you the Tommy rig first. It's all rigged with KineFX, but I do something special here. Well, not special, a little different. So you can see this, there's, this is the, oh, first of all, so this Tommy character is just the Mocap 3. So everyone has access to it. As long as you have Houdini, you have this dude. He's in here, the shelf tool, characters, Mocap 3. Just click this button. So, yeah, I don't want to, okay, you know what? I'll just click it. So it ends up here. So it's just this guy, which is the same one I have right here. Then I took that character, and you can unpack them into extract that character using the agent node. So just choose that Mocap 3 right here, character rig. He'll come in, but this is an agent. So I'm going to have to unpack them so I could get all the good stuff, like his resting geometry. So this is the T-pose, basically. This one would be the target rest, but you only get the rig. And then this would be his animation, if you have chosen an animation. I have not, because here, for poses, I have chosen a T-pose. So if I were to choose a walk and have him move, that walking animation will come into this third input here. But that's not what I'm using. That's not the animation I'm using. The martial arts animation from the Mixamo library is the one I'm using. Now I can't, again, just gonna really short thing. I can't share the Mixamo animations. You'll have to go and download it yourself, but they're all free. You'll just need to sign up for an Adobe account, which is free as well. Then just stick it into the folder provided with the HIP file, and you can Whoa. Sorry. There you go. And then just fit it in here. Re-update this link with the Mixable animation, the FBX animation file that you download, and it should work. So this is the fist fight. This is the fist fight A. So if you just search for that, you should be good. And I downloaded the 24 frames per second if you want to match that. It shouldn't make much of a difference. The map points should map exactly to the same rig if you have the exact same file. If you have the exact same mixable animation and you plug it into the scene, it should work. But anyways, so what I wanted to show you is this is the animation rig, and the thing that I do differently compared to the last stream or compared to what I usually do is that I rigged it twice. So I have a bone deform twice, one for the rest and one for his target. I think his T pose was a little off. It's probably but it doesn't look like it. I might have, let's see. Oh, I remember why I needed to do this. It's because in the Vellum simulation, when we're cooking the clothing simulation, which is driven by the martial arts animation. So if the character's not moving, the clothing's not going to move much either. But since the character's moving extremely with intense motion like this, sorry, ignore that beginning blend right there. I'll explain why it's happening. Since we have motion moving like this, it's going to trigger the motion to move the simulation. Oh, there it is. The simulation for the clothing. It's a little slow. So the character has to move in order to drive the Vellum simulation. Now, having said that, the martial arts begins like this. This is the default. This is the first frame of the martial arts. This one. This is the very first frame. Now, we're not gonna like, how are you gonna create clothing for a character that's in this position? So if you've seen, I'm gonna show you one more thing. I just got to get some of this stuff out of the way so you have an idea. Oh, wrong folder. Here. This one. So you can see, sorry. You can see this right here. This guy is in a T pose, and you're going to have to create these clothing patches while you're looking at him in front. If your character is like this, very first frame, he's never in a T pose in the entire animation you play. He's never in a T pose. So that's going to be very hard to set up your clothing. So I needed to render him, rig him twice, one for the rest pose, which I will use this one to set up as a reference to set up all the clothing for Tommy, and then slowly blend the shape, blend it from the rest position to the martial arts animation. So you see, that's where you see this shift in the textures. So the first few frames, normally you wouldn't need, but I can fix these textures. It's because the S blend, it can't find some of the points. It's missing some of the points. That's very easy to fix. I will just show you quickly, as quick as I can click. It will require an attribute wrangle. So what you can do here is, so this is the, let me do this quickly. This is the rest pose. This one here is the animation. Let's just call it that. Now we need a wrangle here. The reason why this S-blend can't find it is that it's trying to, it needs a little help. So it's looking for a point ID, which does not exist. So we go here, there's no ID. There's no ID, even in the animation. So what we can do is just put an ID for every single point. As long as it's unique, it will be fine. But it has to match, because now this is where you have to make sure. The rest pose has 9,365 points. Now the animation has 9,365 points. So they're exactly the same geometry, except the points are offset because one of the Marshall, this animation one, is moving. But it's still the same geometry. It's just the points are in a different position. So the S-spline needs a bit of help. It goes like, okay, you have two exact same geometries, but I need to know which one is which, because I'm starting to get confused when they start to move too much. I don't know which one's which. I mean, they could have just used the point number, but I don't know why they don't do that. But here, so what you do to help it, go like I for integer at ID. So we're creating an ID point attribute and just give it the point number. Just literally, that's it. Just assign the point number to the ID. So you come over here. That should have came up. Oh, I put that in the wrong place. Sorry. ID. So there's our ID right here. So we do the same thing on both sides. So they both have the same IDs. And that will help the S-blend. There you go. See? Now it figures it out immediately. So it knows which one's which. So that's something there. Now, that's why I needed to rig this a little differently. That's why there's two rigs. One for the animation, one for the rest pose. Just to help the Vellum simulation out. This is the first frame, is what we're going to create the clothing with. And then once our clothing is all modeled and in, we're going to use the martial arts in order to drive the simulation. So that's why we need a nice transition with using the S-blend. Let me see if I can... Okay, there we go. Just gonna play it once, so you can see. So it slowly transitions from the T-pose to the animation. You have a smooth transition there. Now, this is quite overwhelming. Look at this beast. This is me recreating the whole clothing for Tommy. So we're not going to be talking about the clothing one yet. We're going to start off with the belt. I think that's a nice topic to start off with. Just this. Oop. This is what we're going to be doing today. Okay, further ado. Now, the original idea was to use Oliver, but since, like I said, I had that poll I did online, most people don't want to see Oliver. So, Tommy it is. But since the belt is very easy to stick onto Oliver, if I have time at the end, I may stick the belt onto Oliver anyways, just to show you a different character, I guess. And Oliver is a bit more complicated just due to his disproportional body parts. So I actually used the Vellum skin. I actually used the Vellum skin in this case. I didn't have to use the Vellum skinning for the Tommy character, because the Tommy character is very normal. It was like, it just worked in, so I didn't need to. What I really wanted to show you just quickly, we're not going to model him, we're not going to create clothing for him, but I wanted to show you this. So this is where, these are the spots where the vellum skinning really helps with the clothing, because clothing, he's gonna have like clothing around his arm right here. So in the clothing needs to have space in here to be able to for the Vellum solver to be able to compute stuff. Otherwise it just chaos goes through. Now this is the vellum skin. Now I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to turn on the original rig. Now see, there's no gap here. So it's just overlapping the geometry. So this is where the vellum skinning really helps with the vellum clothing. So that's my 2 cents about that. Okay, I'm just gonna look at the comments. Oops, not this. Let's get rid of that. Oh, tearing may be cool. Oh, you want to see tearing? Tearing is a whole different beast, though. Yeah, tearing would be cool. I did it a couple of times to tear up the rubber toy, but I think what would be really cool is I got a few more models online where it's like food models. So I think it would be nice to tear up a cake, or tear up, I don't know, whatever I have available, whatever models I got. That'd be really cool. Oh, and vellum tearing, and there's also a different type of tearing. There's vellum grains tearing, I guess. I don't know what it's called, but I wonder if, okay, I'm getting off track again. But I did this cookie. So I got this cookie where you break it apart and you tear it out. And I learned that from CG Wiki. And with the help of some shaders online, with that double gum dude, with a combination of a bunch of different things, it ended up to being a really nice render. Oh, I am so sorry. I gotta show you this. It's really cool. Well, I thought it was cool. But I did that a long time ago. I wonder if I can find it. It's like a cookie thing. Oh, you know what? It might be on my blog. Ah, the cookie. This is a nice shader, and this is done by this guy. So I think he made it free. I'm not sure. You have to go and check it out, and I'm not sure. So this thing, look at this. So this is the cookie being torn apart, which I learned from CG Wiki. So CG Wiki has a nice tutorial on how to do this. It's not really a tutorial. It's just a HIP file. I think with a small paragraph. So, but this is done with grains, though. This is not vellum. It is vellum grains tearing. So vellum has multiple different tearings, is what I'm trying to say. There's the tetrahedral tearing, the tet mesh tearing, and there's the vellum grains tearing. So let me know which tearing you want, or maybe both. We could do both. I have a lot of food models I can use. Okay, let's finally get in. Enough of me blabbing. Belt knot tie. Okay, let's start with making the general shape of the belt. Now, first of all, let's bring in, well, we don't need the character as yet, because we don't have to size it as yet. Now, to get that, to get the general shape of the knot first, what Side Effects did was draw a curve. And I do a very similar thing. I do draw a curve, but I don't, then they manipulate the curve manually, which I also do too, but I throw in a bit of a twist. I don't do it exactly how they do it. Mine's is a little more simplified. But it's not as high quality as theirs. It's just I take simplicity over that. And I try to proceduralize as much as I can just because I hate drawing. I'm not very good at it. We won't need the timeline. Okay. So I'm just going to draw a very general shape. Just... Oh. Oops. Oh, what are you doing? Okay, let's do it again. Okay, drop that down, mouse over here, press enter. And then click once, twice, 3. And what I'm trying to draw is... Now this doesn't have to be exact, so don't worry. Okay, let's just end it off there. Now we're going to have to edit this curve. This is nothing like it. But what I do is I convert it, make it into a polywire right away. Just so I can actually see the shape. This helps me visualize it while I'm trying to shape it into a real curve. Let's give it 8. So we're not going to be using this polywire other than for reference. Let's drop down and edit. Polywire this. So let's edit this now. Curve. Oh, sorry. I'm just going to put down a smooth curve. Convert. Because the curve is very rigid right now, I'm going to smooth it down first before I start editing it. So basically you're doing this. You don't have the edit yet. I jumped ahead. I'm going to convert this curve. So this curve right now is just a polygon curve. I'm going to convert it into a NURBS curve. This smooths it out. So we get these little handles that we can actually edit it more easily. So I'm going to pick this cursor from the left toolbar. Then choose points, because that's what I want to manipulate. Choose points, and then now I can select one of these points. And what I can do is sort of like nudge it into place. Let's nudge this guy. And then you see it's yellow highlighted. Let me make this a little larger. Okay, that's better. So this yellow highlighted. Then I'm going to press T to move it. So now you can actually move it. You can see it moving like that. So you can actually, but we want to put the render flag on the polywire so we have a better view of it. Or I thought we would have a better view of it. Oh, because it's nerve curve. Okay. So the edit has to go first. Edit has to go here. This polywire goes second. Curve. It should be able to smoothen it out. Here. Okay. Let's edit this anyways. I'm gonna turn that off. Now turn off the points from here. Turn on the polywire if you need to. So you wireframe. So you can actually see the points inside. If I don't have that, you won't be able to see the points. You can also hit W on your keyboard. So what you're gonna do is try and nudge it. Now this part is not my favorite part in this whole process. So every single time you want to choose another point, you have to come here to the cursor and press it again. And then it'll show you all the points that you can manipulate. Now this is very tedious. So you click that point it turns yellow, it's selected, then you press T to move it. You can also rotate it too by pressing R. So you select R and you can like rotate it. But rotation on the curve won't do much. Ugh. So what I'm trying to do is tie a knot. Just to let you know. It is very tedious. So you get the idea though. So I'm gonna do that magic trick again. It's like, because I already did this ahead of time, I don't want you to watch me do that. So this is my curve. It's very messy. What you want to have is this circle inside, come around and go back in through the other side like that. Just like how you're tying a knot, like your shoelace. Then we can convert this into a nerves curve. And this sort of smooths it out. However, we don't have enough points now, so we're gonna like resample it. So we get more topology. And I think we can polywire this. Yeah, we can polywire this guy. So this is a better picture of what it looks like. Oh, you are cute. Thanks, bro. I've always wanted to learn nerves modeling in Houdini, but it's hard. Yes, I nerves, like this curve is not the greatest. I don't know if it's worth showing you me like the whole knot tying part. It's very boring. I don't know if you really want to see that, I can show you the whole process. But right now, let's just like, at least now you know the process. Like, don't just follow it step by step. Houdini is non-destructive, and that means that you can go back and forth without losing. Like, you can go to this node and then, oh, okay, I don't like that, I'm gonna change something over here in this node. Oh wait, I don't like that, I'm gonna go back and change something over here. So you can go back and forth as much as you want. So you want to use, like, take that to your advantage. So put like a polywire here so you can actually see something, because staring at this, trying to manipulate stuff like this is very hard. There's no depth. You can hardly see, like, is that line right here, is it behind or in front of this line? Like, it's really hard until you turn around. Having the polywire here gives you a bit more depth to look at, so it makes the manipulation a lot easier. I mean, this is throwaway. These nodes here are just throwaway. They're just for reference. So let me know in the comments if you want to see me do the whole process of the knot tying. Maybe I'll do it at the end. But for now, I'm just gonna continue on first. Okay, so now we got our general shape. We know how our knot's gonna be. This is what we want, but this is not what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use the sweep node. And what the sweep node does, okay, I'm just gonna first show it to you. It's probably easier that way. Let's take a box. Now I do this a bit differently compared to the side effects example. They use the circle, which is really cool. So let me actually show you that. A circle here. And I didn't know you can do this. Circle, and then you can do polygon. So you have your points there. And then I want 4 points. It turns into a square. That's so awesome. So you get a square right there. You get a flat square. I mean, what I was doing before I saw the side effects tutorial. I didn't know you can turn a circle into a square like that. I did a box, but because it's not flat, I need a plane, like a grid or something. So this, and then I would just like blast everything but one side. That's how I get my square. Or you can just put a grid. Just go like 1 1 2 2, and I think that gives you, oh, it gives it pointing up, so you have to change it like this. So that gives you your square too. So 3 ways of doing a square. This you have to turn it around, so I think it's this one. Yeah, so this would be 45. Yeah, there you go. So 3 ways you can do the square. You can choose your way. I'm gonna keep them all 3 here. So this HIF file will be available for all the bubblepins members, so this part's for reference. Let's transform. Now this will be apparent how this shape will help us form the general shape of the belt. I'm gonna come here, press, okay, select this transform node, come over here, press enter, and then press E for the scale, or you can just press this button over here in the left toolbar. I'm just gonna scale it like this. And I'm gonna feed all this into the sweep node. And what this sweep node does, it takes this shape, this square shape, and it creates, it copies this shape on every single point over here. So you get like this general shape of the belt. Here, I'll show you. So the first one is what they call the backbone curves, which is our square, a rectangle now. Then our points goes here, and then it explodes. Okay, let's see. Well, for one thing, let's see, we want to cross-section input round tube construction and caps. Oh, this has changed quite a bit since I first used it. Apparently I was using the old version of Sweep. They have put in a lot more options in here. Rows and columns. Well, first of all, let's make this smaller. This is way too big. The old version of the sweep had a lot less complicated. End cap, single poly. But at least it has the end caps here, though. UVs. Oh, it even has built-in UVs. I was actually doing this externally. Second input cross-section. Ribbon. Curves cross-section. Oh, I know what I did. Sorry. This is the new one. The old one looks like this. I'll show you. It's less simpler. It has 3 inputs though. So you would put in your cross-section over here, and the what do you call it? The backbone over here, and you end up with this. But you can adjust it very easily. Like this. So you get like the general shape of your curve. So you might ask, what's the difference between using the sweep and then using the polywire? Because the polywire gives you like nicer results, right? But the sweep can actually set you up for UVs, so you can UV it properly. It'll actually create the UVs for you. This new one, this is like probably the new sweep that came with Houdini, I don't know, 18 maybe? Or probably earlier. I haven't used the sweep in a while, other than for this project. But the HIF file that I was using from the Houdini's side effects HIF file, I guess all I did, I kept on doing was copy and paste this sweep, and then I just went here and return to factory defaults. I didn't actually type in the sweep. I didn't know that. I forgot they had a new sweep. I gotta be more careful with that next time. Okay. So this is the old sweep. Let me see if I can do the new sweep live. Well, for first of all, they had that turned around. It's not ribbon. Second input cross. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Skin auto closure, construction rim cross sections. Getting close. Single polygon, none. Grid. And caps. Construction. Each cross section. Cycle. Automatic polygons. Or surface. Ugh. Okay, I'm gonna have to like figure out the new sweep a little later. So let's just use the old sweep for now, and I will post an updated version for this part. This is what we're trying to get. And this sets you up for the UVs. So that's why we need this. It's very important you have cycle primitives. Otherwise, your UVs would just stretch all the way through. If we go quick. Now, the UVs are not there yet. We still have to do a lot more. Here, sweep cycle. So we can take a look what how the UVs are looking right now. Look, this is a very simple projection. Just because there's no UVs existing, it hasn't created any UVs. Here, see, there's no UVs. When you throw down the quick shade, if the model you're inputting doesn't have UVs, it will create it for you automatically, but it'll just be like a very general projection. So this is not great UVs. So first of all, let's polyfill the ends. So that filling the end caps over here. And let's fix the normals first. Okay, so that looks much better. Now, in order to get nice UVs for this belt, or the general shape of the belt, I'm going to go back to the curve cross section. This is what they call the curve cross section. Yeah. Which is our square, that turns into a rectangle. I'm going to use something called the ends. And what this will do, it will give us an option here for the what do you want to assign, attach, what data do you want to attach to the UVs, or how do you want to calculate the UVs, more like. And I want to get unroll with new points. Now I'll show you what it looks like without it. Unroll with new points. So I'll show you what it looks like without it in just a second. So you want UV texture. Now this node will calculate it will assign the UVs for you and attach it to the points right here, and that will be used to create the UVs for the entire thing over here. It will set you up for this thing. But you need something to begin with, like which one is the U and which one is the V. It needs to understand the cross section. So we're going to come over here and we're going to go, instead of orthographic, we're going to use rows and columns. Now you're not going to see anything over here, but the UVs should start to come up here. So if you, there's no UVs. This is starting to develop them in. Now you won't see it. Not yet. And it's not, okay, I'll show you that a little later. So let's do the sweep. Go back here. Let's take a look. Let's put it here. I think that's easier. UVs. Poly patch. Sweep UV. Sorry, just taking a look at my notes. So the sweep here. Polyfill. Oh. I am missing a fuse here. Some of the pieces are not welded together. So now it's not complaining. So let's ignore that and then come over here. Let's take a look at this. I'm gonna move this. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, it's not welded in. As you can see, there's stuff. It's we can tear it apart, literally. So it's not welded in. So remember to put down a fuse. That's the step I forgot. And then polyfill it to fill in the end caps. Reverse. Quick shade. Still not seeing the UVs. Vertices. That's because here we don't have the UVs aren't correct over here. We have the U and the V. We need the UV texture, this node, to be on the backbone as well. So let's do another UV texture. This rows and columns, vertices. This will, let's put it all into the point. This one's on the vertices. This one's on the point. Okay, and then let me take a look. This is deja vu all over again. Reverse sweep. Rows and columns, point. Sample point UV. Okay, the UV should appear. Maybe I have it in the wrong thing. The ends. Unroll with new points. Change, preserve view. That looks good. I really don't know what I did wrong. So sorry, guys. Let me copy my same parameters over. Oh, there it is. Okay, so that was just a sizing issue. I'm sorry. The UVs were there, but it was very stretched, so I couldn't see it. That's what was happening. So now you can see the UV stretching, which is what I wanted to show you. So this is what it was before. So it was like stretching very extremely, so you couldn't see it. Like you can't see it anymore. But if I lower this number, it will make it a little smaller so we can actually see it. It's one UV square stretched really large, so you can't see anything. So okay, let's keep it like that. And I'll adjust this as we go along so you can tell what's going on. Hopefully. Now, this is one of the things. So let's put this back all the way at the end. Now, this UVs is still being stretched. It's actually not being stretched. It's repeating. It's the same UV coordinates here, 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 here. Like every slice is the same UV coordinate. And that's what this is doing, because this cross section is just one square. And what we need to do is we need to, and it's being like, it's the same also. If I go like 1 to 1 here, this is not getting the right UV squares. Oh, we won't be able to see it. So if I go like this, it's not getting the right orientation of the UV squares. It's being created a different in a bad orientation. I'm just going to show you what you can do to fix this. So let's throw down an attribute, wrangle attribute here. And what we're going to do is just one line of vex, UV1, which is the Y, which is this middle one, which is the V, which is the V of the UV. And we're going to assign it. We're actually going to flip it around. UV 0. So we're actually flipping it around. I'm taking all, and this is going to vertices. Just because this is on the vertices. So that's where we're going to get it. Okay, so it's still looking a bit weird, right? And that's where we can come here and we can adjust this a bit. I want it to be larger. Vertice point. This needs to be a point. Oh, there you go. So okay, let's go back to 1. So this is what it looks like. So this is before that the overwrite that I did. I switched the U and the V. Let me ignore that. And you're going to get this stretching. Now, once we apply that, the UV squares are in the correct orientation, which is the orientation of the curve. We need to match the curve's orientation. So we can actually get the UVs following the curve. It's not just projection, because if you're going to do projection, it will be a world projection, and that's not what you want. So you want to follow the curve, which is the hardest part. Now I'm going to fix the sizing just by coming here, and you can fix the X. Now if you want to stretch it on the Y, you can come over here and you can fix adjust this guy. Oh, because he gets overwritten. So you can adjust this one. the X over here, because we overwrite the Y with the X. So the X value, this one becomes the Y later on. Okay, sorry. I hope I'm not... sorry for that fundle. Sorry for messing it up in the middle there. I totally forgot it was the... You can't see it until you start like lowering the size, the scale of it. Is this the aspect easier and harder in Blender, would you say? And also, would you prefer? I would prefer both, just because I'm used to it though. There is stuff that Houdini can do that Blender cannot yet, but you have to know Blender is improving at an exponential rate. Like there's more programmers and free programmers working for Blender than there are Houdini, because Houdini is a commercial application. Blender is open source. Everyone's working on Blender, so you never know 5 years from now where Blender will be. But you need to know this: Houdini and Epic Games has become a small investor in side effects. So you can only imagine where that is gonna get to. Like that's gonna create a lot more projects between the two companies. So I think Houdini is still worth your time to learn. Click the circle, the superior method. Superior. There is no superior method. You can take your pick, whichever you want. I think it drives. It's just a square in the end. with 4 points. It doesn't matter. Can you please create one live string on Pyro Sparse? I'll add it to the list, but it's a very long list. I'll add it to the list. Alright. Let's back to this thing. And this is just the shape of it. I'm so sorry. I think I wasted 15 minutes trying to figure out that it was the scale of the UV texture. I apologize for that. I'm so sorry. Okay. Without further ado. Okay, so this is our belt. This is the low poly of our belt. Now, I'm gonna feed him into Vellum right away. I mean, we're not ready yet. It's gonna turn into mush right now, but I want to feed it in and let you look at, see how it looks like. But first of all, I forgot to rotate it. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna dangle this on the top here and let it gravity pull it down and tie the knot for us. Now this is in the wrong angle, so I'm just gonna throw down a transform node. Just rotate it 90 degrees. Here we go. There you go. So just rotate it like that. Now I'm just going to throw it into the cloth. Now it's not going to work that great, but I want to show you step by step on how to make it fail and small steps on improving it, and what, like, by doing it this way, I find that it's easier to understand what parameters will do what in the simulation. So let's do a Vellum solver. So it's not a Vellum drape, so that's interesting. That's the part that I found interesting. So let's just play it. Let's just play it and see what happens. It's not going to work, but, you know, it drops down. Well, that's one thing we know, that it just drops down right away. Oh, also this. It just drops down. We need something here to hold it up. So let's give it... What Vellum can do is that we can pin the top. Now later on, I'm going to show you that pinning the top is not the way I'm going to do it, but I want to show you step by step how I worked through this. So let's choose some of the points at the top first, so we know which ones to pin, and that's just these 4 really. And we're going to call it pin. Now we're going to like feed it in. So what Vellum has is this pin to target. I'm gonna, if you go to Vellum constraints, drop that down. Up here, there is a pin to target. We're gonna choose points, and we're gonna use this point group over here. So let's choose pin. I wonder if it'll show us. And it's a permanent type, so there's no animation. We just wanted that top part to stay in position, and let's just run it. I'm like, okay, that's sort of getting right, but it's not really the case. Well, first of all, we need better topology. This is not great topology suited for clothing or any, like, it's too mechanical. This type of topology is way too mechanical. You want, like, we want to do a remesh and give it nice even topology. This is way too mechanical. I'm just gonna drag this down. I'm gonna do a remesh. Sorry, I'm gonna place the remesh over here. Okay, we need more, and we need more. Okay, I think that's starting to look a bit better. Okay, let's see what it looks like now. Oh, right. We also have to fix the pins. Because we remeshed it, our pinning points are different now. So we have to reselect this. I'm going to use the lasso. So you can press this button so you can manually choose the points, and then press the lasso so you can make a lasso around. It makes it easier to handle. Then we can try it one more time. Oops, the render flag on the Vellum solver. Play it now. There you go. This actually works pretty well though. Like just this. The only problem is that the knot gets tied all the way at the end. If you're okay with this, sure, like you're done. But, well, it is really low topology. That's for one thing. But this is not the topology that we're going to use anyways. So let me show you. Because this is the topology with our nice UVs. That we went through all that trouble where I was trying to figure out the scale. Let's do this. Now, if I come over here to the remesh, I guess it did keep it pretty good. It kept it pretty nice. It is a little crooked. Just because it's so low poly, it kept it pretty nice. But you can see here that the UVs are not straight as opposed to here. Okay, let me place this down here. Okay, as opposed to this is more straight. This is more nicer UVs. So if I were to remesh it with even higher quality, it's gonna get worse. Like, see these? Oh, sorry. These weird spirals, that's what you're gonna get, like, everywhere. And it's gonna get nasty. But at low poly level, when you're remeshing it like this, it doesn't, if you're okay with it, I guess so. Well, actually, no. The spirals are starting to show everywhere. So this is not the geometry we're going to keep. This is not the topology that we want. We want this topology, but we want this this shape, this vellum shape that it's turned into. Now, the node that's going to save us, some of you probably know, is the point deform node. That gives us the best of both worlds. Now, I want this, which is the original geometry in the first one. Take this and then time shift. Now, I just want you to know this belt is not done. Like, there's a better way. There's more stuff that you can do with it. Like, you can adjust the stiffness and get a better knot. So we're not done yet, but I want to show you the whole thing end to end first, and then make tweaks after along the way slowly, then you can know what each parameter will do and which each change will actually, how each change will actually affect the entire knot or the entire model. I kind of like this step-by-step process. Like, get the whole thing working first, and then like, oh sorry, not this, not 71. I mean, not 1. This is 71. So I'm going to choose 1, and I'm going to say 71. I'm going to just take a drink of water. Now the point deform is very confused. Just because this and this is very different. Yeah, the point deform is very confused right now. Oh, that's because what was I doing? 1. There we go. It's because the knot has moved from here all the way down there, like significantly. So it's very hard to point deform it. Even if you go increase this, it's not going to help much. Now, this is where I want to bring in how we can improve the knot a little bit more. Like, I want this knot to stay in the middle, to stay here. Like, I don't want it to drop all the way down and then tie down here. I want it to, like, knot here, like tie a knot here. For one thing is, I need a little bit more room. And we're going to put a bit of animation, a keyframe animation here to actually help tie the knot, to tell it, you know what, stretch this part and this part, like pull it up and down. Like when you're tying a shoelace, you have 2 hands and you actually pull on both ends in order to tie this knot. So let's do that. Now, how am I going to know which part of the belt is the end? I'm just going to do something very quick. I'm going to paint it. It doesn't have to be exact, so don't worry about that. Paint, I'm going to call this ends. Now let's come over here, and I'm just going to select this paint node. Now you can change the name here if you want in the attributes tab, right? Names, just give it whatever you want. Select this, mouse over here, press enter. And then you get this weird circle thing. That's your paintbrush. And I'm just going to paint a bit at the end. And I want both ends. Make sure to get both sides though. So you want this to be solid red on both sides. I think that should be good enough. I'll paint just a little bit more just in case. Okay, that's fine. Now I'm going to put a color just in case you want to see it. Green. Okay. Now I'm going to use a soft transform. This is going to be the keyframe to make it move. So I'm going to actually put an animation and stretch these ends and stretch it up. So what's the group that I want? Well, okay, let's take a look here. What have we done? The the point, the ends, you can see here that the ends is a 0 or 1 value. So what I can do for the group is at and and another thing, the soft transform only deals with points, so that's why you don't have that option. Usually when you have a group, you have an option drop down that asks you, do you want to choose a group in the point, vertices or primitives or whatever attribute. Well, the soft transform only deals with points. So anyways, we want the ends, the point attribute ends that is greater than 0.9. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to stretch it. First of all, I want to use $. This will give me the middle of the Y because I'm going to stretch it on the Y axis, which is up and down. Well, I want to start the pivot from the Y. Stretch, where do you want to start stretching? From the middle, which is the centroid of this string. And watch what happens when we go like this. So it goes up and down. This is exactly what I want, but I want it animated. So I'm going to put a keyframe here. I'm going to hold down Alt on the keyboard and left click this square right here. I'm going to turn green, and we've added a keyframe. Turn it to 24, and I'm going to, I don't know, maybe 3, and then put another keyframe. So this is what it looks like. Put the color here as well so we can see both. It's going to stretch up like that. Now let's go back over here. And now I no longer need this pin thing here because we're not going to pin it at the top anymore. So let's ignore that. Come to this pin to target one. And I actually want to pin those endpoints to the animation. I want to tell the Vellum Solve, follow the animation of our soft transform, but only for the ends, the parts that we painted red. Everything else that's not, I want it to be flexible. I want you to move freely as you please, as like, yet let the Vellum Solver do its job for that. But other than the ends, I want to control that. So that's sort of like simulating when someone's tying their shoelace. They're going to pull on both sides of the string. So how do we choose that? So come over here in the Vellum constraints. How do we choose that group? Well, the same way I did for the soft transform. Just at ends greater than 0.9. So we can just do the same thing here. At ends greater than 0.9. Now you can see immediately here, it'll tell you what is selected. These little purple things, which is the points that are selected by this group right here. What do we want? Pin type. We want a soft pin type, and we want to match the animation. Soft. There we go. Now let's give it a try. There you go. See, we get a nice knot in the middle now. But it is dropping. You can see that this is where we began, and the knot has dropped quite a bit. And what I did to overcome that is, first of all, I lowered the gravity, because gravity doesn't really help me much in this situation. So I'm going to divide the gravity by 10, just because I want a really, really small gravity. And for the solver substeps, I'm going to increase it to 3. Let's give it a try. There's actually more I want to do here. By increasing the substeps of the Vellum Solver, you'll get a higher accuracy between the self collisions of the cloth itself. You don't want it to start intersecting itself. So this is, once you see the overlapping geometry start to come through, this is where you want to start increasing. Okay, so we're getting a much better knot. Well, now it's like completely going too much. But we only need a little bit here. So this is pretty good. Now it doesn't have much thickness. I don't know if you can see. It's getting squashed down. It's really thin. Now if this is what you're going for, you're cool. You're halfway down the road. I mean, this will help the point deform a lot. So let's see what the point deform looks like right now. Oh, let's lower this, change this back to, let's change this back to default. Not that great. That's because the one that we had here was really low topology. This one. So what we're going to do is subdivide that just a little bit more. See if it helps. It's starting to help a lot. I'm going to get rid of the template. It's getting in the way. Okay. Gonna increase this radius. I mean, lower down the radius. Still isn't great. I think because it's still moving quite a bit. It's gone from there to there. So, there's more that I want to do with this knot to improve it just a bit. Well, first of all, I want it to be more stiff, the entire belt to be more stiff. So I'm going to turn, add a strux in here. It's going to make a bit of room. This will give it a different type of material that'll be a little bit more harder material. I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm going to keep the default parameters. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Let's see what it does. Okay, so it is a bit stronger now. But to be honest, I don't want the knot to fly everywhere. I don't want it to move everywhere. And there's another thing we need to change is that the tips over here, in my original modeling over here, I didn't do a very good job because the tip here, it should be straighter. If it was more straighter, this knot wouldn't like wobble around so much. Because, oh, too much. It's wobbling quite a bit. Now, there's another way we can compensate though. We can push this even further by going to the Vellum Solver. So the struct, okay, let me go with before and after. This is what it looks like right now. And this is what without the struct. Difference is very subtle. In my opinion, with the struct, it's a little bit stronger. But the difference is so subtle. Okay, let's see. Okay, this on frame 23, we lost the knot completely. So let's try it again without the struct. This is frame 22. We lost the struct, the knot completely. So the struct is making a teeny bit difference, not as much as I would like. Let's put it that way. We could increase the stiffness and everything here. But I have another suggestion. go to the Vellum Solver, I'm actually going to lower the time scale so it doesn't move as much. And this will lower the effect of the vellum to allow the motion of the animation to move faster than the Vellum Solver. And let's give it a try. I'm going to go timescale 0.6 for the Vellum Solver. And that's lowering the effect of the Vellum Solver. And let's see what it looks like. Okay, so this is 21, 22. Same thing. To me, this was a lot better. But I think it's so low poly that you can't really tell the difference. Not yet. Now, let's put some stiffness in. Let's go and actually put some stiffness in to make the knot a little more, to hold up a little more. Like, because once it gets to 23, no matter what we do, we tried a bunch of parameters here and it's not affecting it much. The knot literally disappears after this. It turns to mush. So we want to give it a bit more stiffness. Oh, sorry. I wanted to pull it down. So what we're going to do is going to do another paint attribute. Go to the attributes. I'm going to call it stiffness. Come over here, enter, and I'm just going to paint this. It doesn't have to be fancy, as long as you get the knot part. So it gets a little stronger. If you want to erase stuff, so say I painted this by accident, hold down Control and then left click and drag, and that's like your eraser. Okay, let's just do that. And I'm gonna put a, you know what? I'm just gonna color this. But I'm gonna change this to stiffness. Now, there's one thing you need to know. This green is completely 0. If we're gonna feed this right into this cloth, so the stiffness scale attribute stiffness, and we're gonna turn up the stiffness to like 3. I don't know. It'll explode just because this has 0 stiffness. Yeah, it's gonna like, it's not gonna, well, it doesn't turn out well. It's stretching here because there's no stiffness here, and this part is so high stiffness that it's not tying the knot. So what we can do, feed into a point vault. Now come here, double click. Bring in that stiffness parameter. We're going to bind. So let's bring in that stiffness, and I'm going to remap it. I'm going to fit range it. Now, the fit range isn't too bad. I'm not going to be doing anything fancy. It's going to 0 to 1, which is it's already 0 to 1. And it's going to be remapped to 0.2 to 1 or 0.3. This will just give it a lower, like the lowest level stiffness to not be 0. I just want it a little higher. And let's just write it back up. Okay, let's go. And we have it fed in. Okay, let's give it a run. Let's give it a whirl. Okay, this is something I like a little bit better. It seems a little more like it's tying something. This will probably get even better if I go back up here to the remesh and increase the topology over here. But the only problem is when you change this over here, you have to repaint these, which is this one and this one. So I'm just going to highlight those greens. So once you change this remesh, you're going to have to repaint this because the topology has changed. The point count is different. These paint attributes rely on the point number as an ID. As a result of all that hard work, we get a nicer knots here from the point deforming. Now let's see if we can make this a little bit better. The reason why it's still messed up because it is shaking quite a bit still. And what we can do to help it even more, I'm gonna manually do this. You can see how when I change this, it changes the wee. No, I think that's making it worse. Yeah. Point end on belt. Original. This is this. Should be okay. This is 1070. I'm just going to double check something. And this over here, 1070. Point deform. Let me change it back. Subdivide it. This is here. This is here. Unsubdivide it. I want to see where it starts to mess up. I wonder if this is not close enough, or it's too close. Now, in my experimentations, it worked out pretty nicely with my knot. I'm not sure if the poly count is a lot lower during when I'm doing the live stream. I use a much lower poly count just to make the streams go a little bit better, smoother. So this is the ones that from my notes that I just wanted to show you. So this is the original one. This is the vellum one. This is me point deforming. this is the one with the UVs. So I just want to show you. So this has nice UVs. This one doesn't. Well, it has okay UVs. It has the curvy UVs. So that's why I don't want to use this one. This is the Vellum one. This is directly from the Vellum. Using a point deform, I'm trying to get the best of both worlds. So this worked out nicely in this case. See? Not sure what happened. Let me see what's the poly count. This is 14,000. So maybe that's why. This one here is 4,000. So even my Vellum one here is much higher. I'm using 0.3. Yeah, I think it might be a poly count. Oops. It might be a poly count issue. What have I done? Okay. I think it's a poly count issue. Because of my remesh here. You know what? Let's give it a try. I'm going to have to repaint it, but let's give it a try. Let's use 0.3. That's what I had. I hope it doesn't crash. I'm going to have to repaint it, but that's okay. I'm going to do it very quickly. I want to see this actually work. Okay. Okay, there you go. Okay, sweet. Okay, there we go. There's the ends. Okay, now I'm going to paint the stiffness. Reset that, and then let's do it again. Just really quickly. So it's not going to be pretty. Okay, the bottom. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, let's just try that. Okay, let's give that a try. Oh, let's just go directly to the point deform. And then how much was this? 3,000. Okay, I had 14,000. Let's go up again. 14,000. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, let's just do that. And then how much is this now? This is 2,000 and something. How much did I have before? Let me double check. Ooh. 4,000. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, that looks a bit better. It is starting to like tear for some strange reason. But that knot looks way prettier than what it did before. So it is a poly count issue. You can't go too low poly, which is a mistake that I did. I went way too poly trying to make the live stream go smoother. So that's something you need to be aware of. If you're starting to see something like what I saw, it's starting to not match. You can't, if you're having trouble point deforming the Vellum Solver simulated results to your original one, like to your original low poly one with the nice UVs, if you're starting to see that issue, then you know you have to increase your poly count everywhere. I think this will improve even more with higher poly count. But as a result of all that hard work, you get something with nice UVs. Like, look how straight this is. It's not the curvy one like this. And these spiral artifacts. It is a lot of work to get these nice UVs. Okay, that took longer than I thought. Did I lose anyone here? Is anyone still here? Circular. Can you please create? I'll add that to the list. Remark, thank you for watching. Lookalike, hello. Is tearing possible? Yeah, it is tearing possible. There's vellum tearing using grains, and there's, that I know of, vellum tearing using grains, or vellum tearing using tetrahedral. It really does, it uses a model and it splits it up into pieces. It fractures it just like RBD, but it turns each piece into a tetrahedral material, which is more soft, and it tries to tear it. It adds a lot of sticky parameters, so it looks like it's pulling it apart. Oh my, how long do you use Houdini? You know so many things. I have... That's a very good question. I've used it for a few years now. At the beginning, when I just started it, I was on and off on it. It wasn't like pure Houdini, because I was experimenting my world into the 3D world. I was trying many different softwares. I've used the Maya. I've used 3D Studio Max, but this is like, we're talking about 10 years ago. I had the trial, and I used it for a couple of weeks, and I didn't really like it. I mean, they've improved a lot, and I don't think I even recognize the UI. I haven't touched 3D Max or Maya in the longest time ever. Blender I've always kept from beginning to end. Yeah, Houdini, it was on and off. It wasn't until the last couple of years that I've been hardcore onto Houdini. Lookalike. Some years ago, I tried Houdini 8, I think, because it was possible to fracture solid geometry, but now I try to learn Houdini for some character things. Yes, Houdini wasn't always the greatest thing to rig stuff or do characters. It wasn't until the recent update with Houdini 17, I think, that they introduced kineffects. Don't quote me on that. It might be 18. That was a milestone for me. It really, like, I started to switch all my rigging into Houdini. Like, I used to do rigging all in Blender just because there's this add-on you can buy on Blender, and it's called Auto Rig Pro, I think, and it literally is a click basics, but it can only rig humans, so using that click workflow. So that was the downside of it, but for rigging humans, it was awesome. You get a rig, like a really detailed rig, in less than 5 minutes. But the downside is that you can only do it, that 5-minute workflow only works for humans. I'm kind of new to Houdini and not sure where to start with. Oh, Pinfall, that's a good question. I made a welcome package, I guess you could call. Member guide, I think it was. Shoot, even I don't remember. It's located on the home page somewhere. Membership guide. Here, this one. Click this. So because someone brought this to my attention a couple months ago, I think. Time is messed up in my head right now. And they were saying that I had a lot of content and they were getting a little overwhelmed. They didn't know where to start. So that's where I came up with this welcome package. Now there's where do you start? Where do you start? Just because Houdini is huge and I've been creating a lot of content lately, starting I think early this year, I started making these teaser videos, which is perfect for beginners because you can actually see a preview what you want to create before you actually dive into it. So here there's a link here where to start. teaser videos, click this, open it up. Here's a list of all the teaser videos I have so far. I mean, there should be more. Oh, this is not listed. I will organize this list. And these teaser videos are just like a minute or 5 seconds or 39 seconds. They're like a minute to 2 minutes. I don't know. Some are less. And this will preview what I've created and have to offer for you. So come here, take a look at some of this stuff, and then pick a topic you like. After you got that, then you know which topic you want to dig into. And that's where I created all these thumbnails here for every category that I can think of that I have. These are actually links. So if you want, if like water interests you, then just come over here and click this. Now these thumbnails take a while to load. I apologize for that. I've been meaning to like downsize it, but I haven't had time. So I don't know, maybe open up the page and go get a cup of coffee and come back. What these links will take you to is a playlist. So this is a playlist full of water tutorials or videos. Every single water content that I can think of, I just shoved it into this playlist, into this water playlist. And so what you get, like, besides, without the teaser videos, non-teaser videos, this is actual educational content. Oh, except for this. Okay, some of them made it through. Some of the teaser videos made it in. I will correct that. Anyways, this is a list of all the flips that I have in this playlist. If you come here, RBD, and you want to learn that, just come here, and here's the RBD stuff. Where else? And this talks about the live streams. And the past live streams, what's the difference? Right. This is what's the difference between the live stream and the HQ live stream, the high quality one. Well, I do have a membership available, and the Perk 1 membership gives you the hip files, which contains all the Houdini scenes and all the setup that you can download. The Perk 2 members gets the hip file and an edited version, a heavily edited version of this live stream, of every single live stream. And what it has is all my fancy blue highlights with all the extra notes and renders. Now those take a lot of time to edit, so that's why it's only available for Perk 2 members. It takes a lot of time to edit those videos. So the high quality edited versions available for Perk 2 members are going to be slowly released after the live stream is hosted. So it usually takes at least 1 to 2 weeks. Sometimes if I'm super busy, it may take a little longer, but I usually try to aim for the 1 to 2 weeks. Yeah, and my Twitter page usually has like what my experimentations. I usually, because it's very easy to post it on Twitter. Just like, oh, I'm trying this out, and then, oh, I made it do this. Oh, I can't figure that out. That usually happens on my Twitter page. Okay, that was a mouthful. Okay, I watched your flip tutorials, but I still not know if you use narrow band. Is there less particles to calculate, or are they just invisible? Still not know. I use narrow bands to help with speed up the performance of the simulation, because there's less particles to calculate since we only care about the ones on the top. They're not really, it's not really invisible, it's just not there. Now, you only use narrow bands when you only care about the top surface of the fluid. For example, will your camera ever have a side shot of the tank, or is your camera aimed at the top point shooting down, like your camera. If your camera is never gonna see the bottom motion, that's when you're gonna use you should use narrow bands, because that will just save you time. It's just, it'll cook faster. The simulations will cook a lot faster. Narrow bands is not more accurate. It is just optimizing your scene. And it's not invisible. It's the particles are not there. It's literally not there. So the flip solver will understand that it's a narrow band surface, that it will understand that there is actually something inside the middle of the tank. But that's only the flip solver. Once you put your DOP import and you extract all that information onto outside of the flip solver, I don't think anyone else understands, or I don't think any other node will understand that the meaning of what is inside in the middle. I hope that makes sense. So it's not invisible. Oh, put it this way. You can think of it as being invisible for the flip solver. Only for the flip solver. If you put it into like a particle fluid surface node, or like a rendering, or you're trying to render it out, it's not invisible. It's just not there. It kind of is invisible for the flip solver, because the flip solver understands what narrow bands is. Wow, similar to me, I started my adventure with 3D like 30 years ago, Cinema 4D, but there was something missing. I started to look for something else. I just jumped to Maya Max and ended in Houdini. Awesome. Yeah. Like, you should shop around and find the best thing that works for us. Like, everyone's taste is different, but I like Houdini because it's non-destructive. You don't have to commit to something. I mean, you can make it once and you turn that one creation into like 100 different things. So I find that concept very appealing. Do you 3D as hobby, or somehow you need it for it started out as a hobby. I don't know what it is now. I guess I'm trying to transition to it. I've been trying to get into more advanced topics for Houdini, like that would require more Vex. Unfortunately, I don't have any Vex tutorials, so it's a little hard to do Vex. Like, I don't want to jump right into Vex and leave everyone behind, because I didn't have any beginner Vex tutorials. So I've been trying to like figure that out, trying to like create some beginner Vex tutorials, and then I can finally start and get into like more advanced topics. But it's still in the works. I mean, I've been trying to do a lot of things. I really, really want to start getting into that short animation that I've been like blabbing about for the last few months, but it's hard to find time to get all the assets. So I don't know. KineVex helps a lot though, because the KineVex is proceduralizing the rigging part, which is very, very nice. I love the remapping, so that will help hopefully in the short animation project I will soon have. So yeah, to answer your question, it is a hobby, and it is in transition to something bigger, maybe. I don't know. I'm being very reserved because I'm a little scared of failure. Sorry, last comment was mixed. I mean, do you work in graphic design? Oh, okay. Sorry. No, I'm not. I'm actually a programmer. I'm a coder at heart, trying to transition into a more artsy thing. Have you thought about jumping around from advanced to beginner? like backwards, advanced to beginner. From advanced to beginner. Topics like Enigma. Oh, actually, I haven't seen much of Enigma. I mean, I've watched a couple of their free videos, but I'm not a member of their Patreon. I want to be one of the members of the Patreon one day, just because I don't have time to watch their videos, though. Like, I literally have no time. Like, getting this Vellum clothing up and ready took the wind out of me. And the belt is not even done. I'm sorry. We're like 2 hours in. And the belt is actually not there yet. I wanted to actually stick this belt onto the character and actually animate it moving. Which is... No, not this one. Sorry. Just gonna take a big breath. Which is this thing. Yeah. I wanted to show you this. To stick it on here. Because we're so close. But I'm really tired right now. And I've learned my lesson not to go over 2 hours because I start to make mistakes. So I'm going to postpone this to the next live stream. I mean, I'm not even sure what I'm going to do in the next live stream. Look at this thing. It's humongous. I don't know how I'm going to go over this in the next live stream. I'm going to have to come up with a way to like go over this. This is all for the clothing. Remember, today was only the belt. I tend to over explain every single detail, but I think that's why some of you are here and you kind of like that, because some Houdini can be very overwhelming, and I really like to dig into the details. That's always been my workflow and my style and how I've always made content. Very, very detailed. So if you have any questions, just post them in here. I'm rounding it off. I'm gonna end the stream soon. And I'm gonna continue this belt in the next stream, probably in a shorter stream because it's almost done. So I'm guessing the next stream will be a lot shorter, hopefully. Who knows? I may overtalk again. But I'm gonna end it off today. So if you have any last call for questions, I'm just gonna read the rest of these comments. If you have any questions, just post them in right now. Graphic design. Thanks for the tutorial. Vex is really good and powerful. My developer background helped here a lot. Yes, you are correct, Eugene. It helps a lot because I find that Houdini has a lot of the same programming concepts, especially that DOP import. When I first understood how the DOP import works, that's exactly like when you're writing functions in a computer programming language, you would return the function to something else. That's the DOP import. That's exactly what the DOP import does. I was like, there's a lot of those concepts that really helps you. And Vex, yeah, Vex is awesome. It's so powerful. Yeah, you are right about that. It is very powerful. And Houdini can handle so like a large amount of data. I've heard that people use Houdini to visually program medical stuff, like put all the statistics of medicine in, feed it into Houdini, and it actually can handle all that data, that large number of data sets, and then it can eat it all up, and then you can spit it back out in a visual presentation. I think that's very that's very powerful. You've upgraded CPU, no more GPU renders in your life? Oh no, of course not. I mainly use GPU to render because I use Blender. I've shifted onto Blender. I used to use Redshift, but I wanted to save on the license fee, and I've moved on to Blender. The only problem is when you're trying to export your Houdini scenes to Blender through Olympic files, it doesn't work that great for particles, or if you really need those attributes, you lose a lot of attributes when you export your geometry from Houdini to Blender. Like Houdini has a bunch of stuff that it generates in this little spreadsheet that may or may not be useful. Like, oh, look at this, air resist, this that I don't know what it is, that has velocity. I'm sure velocity is here somewhere. Previous, look, it has a previous UV or previous V. It has stiffness. Oh, stiffness is stuff we wrote in. It has a lot of stuff in here, especially if you're doing RBD destruction. It's gonna have velocity, it's gonna have piece name, it's gonna have damage, impacts, force, and that's the kind of stuff you want to use in your shaders. That's the downside of Blender, using Blender. I'm hopefully one day I'll have time to create a script between Houdini and Blender and transfer all the attribute data and actually fill in the missing information. And that would be a point where I can fully use the Houdini to Blender rendering for full renders without limitations. Okay, thanks, bye. I think everyone's tired. I'm so sorry. Thanks for doing these streams. They're super helpful. Thank you for watching. I know my streams are super long, so I'm very appreciated that everyone does watch through it. Like, you don't have to watch it all in one sitting. I don't blame you if you just go and take a break. And you can always watch the replay. I don't blame you, because it is really long. Even I think so. I'm looking for something on GPU because exporting data from Houdini is not the greatest idea. Yeah, you're right. You are right. The best is to stay inside. You are right. Bylaski? I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You are correct about that. Staying within Houdini is probably the ideal solution. However, Redshift. You buy Redshift the first year, I think it's about $600-700 US. They do have a sale. So Redshift does have a sale every year, I think in June or July. I can't remember, the summer sale. It's like 30% off, but only for first time users. And the problem with Redshift is that you have to buy the maintenance every single year. And that's about, I think, $300 US every year. So I wanted to save that money. And a Blender cycles is very fast, especially with the new 2.9 ones. It's so fast. For something that's free, it's almost the same. I'm not sure, because Redshift has improved as well, so I believe Redshift is faster. But free, like the money I save from the Redshift license, I can get a new GPU. I'm watching India make tutorials for beginners in Houdini. Do you, what? From India, make the tutorials for beginners in Houdini. I do have tutorials for beginners. They're all over the channel. They're all beginner tutorials. Not sure what you mean by that. Houdini engine for Blender would be nice. Oh, that would be awesome. If only that will be one day will come. That day will come. For only dynamics. You shouldn't jump only to dynamics. You should get your foundations first. But I can see what you mean. Put it this way. Houdini has been, I think Houdini side effects has been listening to us, and they know that .NET is not the easiest thing to understand for a beginner, like the .NET, this thing. So they've been slowly moving away from it for the last 2 releases. So they have released a lot of stuff on the SOP level, especially already Bullet Solver. Now this Bullet Solver is available to us on this level, on this SOP level, which is very more easier for people to understand. This, you need to know that this node was never available to us in predating like Houdini 16. This was not available. I believe not. I don't know. Houdini 16 or 15. This was not here. The only way for us back in the old days was to go into .NET and create our BD solver. Now this is the dynamics world that you're talking about. I would not suggest a beginner to just jump into this without the basics. Having said that, the basics, the very, very bare bone basics to know is not much. I mean, if you just go to my check out some of the channels, I think if you just watch just one video. Here, let me go to a playlist. I'm trying to look for RBD. Where is my RBD? Here, the playlist for RBD. If you try and pick one here, let me suggest one for the beginners. This one, these 3, this flower one, this 3 mini series on RBD tools. This is a very good starter for beginners. And it will show you how to use the RBD on the SOP level. So not this. It doesn't need to use that. You can use the RBD Bullet Solver SOP ones. So that will help you understand the .NET later on. You can try that out first. Then you can get some of the basic concepts and then move on to dynamics. I don't have any specific like just for dynamics stuff. Dynamics will be you'll need to know dynamics if you want to push your simulations further, like more advanced. If you want more advanced simulations, you'll need to get into dynamics sooner or later. But for beginners, I think this is like the RBD solvers on the SOP level is powerful enough to keep you busy. I hope that answers your question. What is your year specifications? You're talking about my computer? I'm running a Threadripper 3960, which is the 24 core one with 64 gigs of RAM, RTX 2080. Yeah. And yeah, it is node based, so it is hard to learn because I'm from Maya. Yeah, Maya is a clicking, what I think they call it a boxy software. I'm not sure. I remember someone calling it a boxy software in like a ZBrush user called it a boxy software. I'm not sure why. I think it's because it's all based on clicking. Have you tried 3D Delight? I've recently rendered volumes and it loads data in Blink. Much faster than Mantra Android. Arnold and a RenderMan is way behind all of them. The last in the race, sadly. I have heard about it. Some people have bugged me to use 3D Delight. I have not tried it. I think it's just due to time constraints. I've been super busy lately. But if I do have time, I think I would really like to try different types of rendering engines just to shop around. And that includes 3D Delight because a lot of people there's been a lot of good news about it. Good feedback about it. When did you start? Oh yeah, I already answered that question before. So I started many years ago. It was like on and off at the beginning, and I haven't. It's only the last couple of years I've been hardcore into it. Is it still a good idea to dig in and try to figure out what's in those high level nodes though? Which ones? Which one do you mean? High level nodes. You mean the dynamic nodes? High level nodes. Can you give me an example of what type of nodes? Or are you just like shopping around just to browse around the nodes? Browsing around the nodes, like randomly learning nodes in Houdini I find it quite hard. Just because this is not very well organized. Well, it is. It is very organized. No, that's not true. Like, it is very organized. The only issue is they have a lot of nodes. It's very overwhelming. For me, I've learned it from experience. From like, okay, I want to do this. How do I do this? Luckily nowadays Houdini has gotten a wider fan base. So when you Google something, it actually the chances of it coming up is a lot higher than it was before. Like, 10 years ago when I Google something for Houdini, nothing comes back. But now it has a wider fan base, so a lot more people have answers for you online, and you can also ask me as well. You can also follow a bunch of people on Twitter. There's this I can't remember his alias, but there's this guy who releases a node, he talks about one Houdini node every day. And you can use it as like a tip and trick thing. Now I have to dig up his alias. I can't remember it. I really love Houdini. It's my dream to learn because Houdini. Yeah, I get you. I love, that's the one thing I love about Houdini too. Sub level dynamics. What was that? Is it a good idea to figure out those high level nodes or sub level dynamics? Yeah. Yeah, you can't. Sub level dynamics is very handy. It's very powerful. I've been using it a lot. Just because it's very easy. The .NET, like, can you imagine setting up the .NET every single time? Like, do this, go in, put the RBD object. RBD solver, gravity, ground, merge, whoops. And then you have like, I don't know, forces or whatever. I don't know. Geometry VOT, whatever. I don't know. What else is there? Like, typing all that. And then I go into SOPs and I go RBD bullet solver. I'm done. One node. But I mean, okay, that's not fair. You have to hook a bunch of other stuff to this. But still, look how much easier this is. Especially when you get to constraints, which is this thing, this purple thing here. In .NET, you gotta like constraint network. Oh, what was it? Hard constraint relationship or whatever. I don't know. And then you have like constraints to create. Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, something like that. There's another one to hook here. I can't. It's on the tip of my. Oh, SOP solver. I think it was. SOP solver goes here. This goes over here. This goes over like something like that. And then you have to hook this up with whatever. And here you just connect it. So much easier. Like you can have box. I don't know. Lack of creativity. I'm really tired right now. And then, so you have lines. So there's my lines. Stick it into the constraints. That's my constraints. I'm done. Well, no, I'm not completely done. But like that, it's so much easier, quicker to do this. And also the RBD bullet solver has something that the .NET does not have. It has something called a guided simulation, which I show in more detail in these three. That's the banana split one I did. It's so easy to do a banana split. Here, let me just click it. Oh, sorry. Okay, commercial. I will wait until the commercial plays. Oh, that's not even the right one. What have I done? Like, I hope you get the idea. It is a lot easier to do. Ah, the banana split. This thing. This is so easy to do in RBD tools. Like this one, this SOP level dynamics. You can go check it out. Like, it's right here. If you can't find this, go to my webpage and just click on RBD tools. It'll get you, and then just scroll down. It's 7, 8, 9. These three. Oh, let me stop that, because I'm gonna run out of RAM. Let me check if there's any more comments. Do you stream every day, alternate days? Oh, I don't really have a schedule. I'm so sorry. I've been meaning to get a schedule going, but it's really hard because every topic takes a certain amount of time to develop the scene, and it's really hard to predict how much time I need to prepare each scene. Some topics I know better than others. Sometimes I'm branching off into a whole new adventure like I've never touched, because Houdini is huge. So sometimes I would go into a topic I've never learned before and start fresh. So it was really hard. I don't have a schedule. I do try to announce it ahead of time, at least 3 to 4 days ahead of time. I know it's not. I should announce it earlier, but it's hard to get like a quiet room. Thank you for watching. I appreciate everyone for watching. My tutorials are so long. Thank you for watching. Houdini need any plugins? Not that I know of. If you do use a third-party rendering engine like Redshift, you will need to purchase and install an external plugin. I have no idea what that is. I'm so sorry. He has... Oh, the alias guy that I was talking about. Oh, the guy... Yeah, you're right. That name does sound familiar. I think it's him. I think you're right. Oh, thank you so much for posting that. Yes, this guy. He posts a new Houdini node every day. So if you want to browse around, you can like check this out and just go through his Twitter. It's very, very helpful. He's very creative too. Yes, dig into SOP dynamic node and you will find the logic is basically HTA with other nodes hooked. Yes, you are right. I found the best way to learn. Okay. Most of the time the magician came up upon searching for Houdini. Huh? You've lost me. You've lost me. I don't know. I think I'm tired. I'm not making much sense. Thank you for watching. Thank you. Alright. I'm just gonna end it here. If you have any more questions, shoot me a comment below. I will answer them whenever I see them. And I will release this hip file, not this box. This belt. I know it's not complete yet because I have to stick it onto a character. That's for the next live stream to be announced soon. But I will stick this node setup. I will upload it and it will be available for Perk 1, Perk 2 users. I will fill it out with my comment, so I don't just leave it like this. It'll be like nicely organized with comments, sticky notes, and everything in the works. Yeah, and I'll do that for the next couple of days. It'll probably come if I have energy tonight or probably tomorrow. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are too kind. Thank you. In your country, what type of program do you do every day? Mostly UI. I used to be really good in C sharp. Now I'm trying to branch off into, but I have done JavaScript, like a lot of JavaScript for the NPM. What is it called? The Node programming, Node.js. I've been trying to learn more web development, like Node.js stuff. That is a lot. That's like the trend. But I find that it's not very, because it's very saturated, the market for Node.js. So I feel like I don't want to spend too much time with Node.js, but I feel like I should know it. It's just that I shouldn't invest that much time of it in it. But anyways, it's not my interest, so that's why. Unless I really wanted to do something. All right, I'm just gonna end it off. So thank you all for joining me today. I know it's been a really long stream. I'm not good at ending off streams. So I hope everyone has a really great rest of your day, rest of your night, wherever you are in the world. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. And I'll see you all next time.